Hey everyone, welcome to the Promethean Tides. Now, here's the thing. The auditory cortex in the temporal lobe is said to be resistant to damage in the case of injury to the cerebral cortex or the reticular activating system. That is to say, we're not sure where or how this message will reach you, but we're hoping it will. If you are hearing this, you've been in a coma for the last 7 years, and we need you to wake up. Please, we need you to wake up. Just wake up. Breaker, how are you doing?
Like I'm putting chemicals in the water that turn the frickin' frogs gay. End quote. Next line.
Yes, and also joining us, I believe this is the second coming of Jesus. Jesus, how you doing?
Very well, very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent, excellent. So, this was a big news week. A lot of things happened, especially towards the end of the week. We got a lot of stories to go into, to get into, but we will just start off with I think that one that is probably at the top of a lot of people's minds, especially in America. So, Elon Musk has announced that he will be terminating his Twitter deal. He filed this on Friday with the FCC, and he's accusing Twitter of making false and misleading representations about the prevalence of bot accounts, and his lawyer in this says, and I quote, sometimes Twitter has ignored Musk's requests, sometimes it has rejected them for reasons that appear unjustified, and sometimes it has claimed to comply while giving Musk incomplete or unusable information, end of quote, repeat the line. So, yeah, this is going to have some ramifications.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think my general opinion on this is it's kind of like a fake out by Elon because Elon is in a position where he knows he has them by the balls and he's going to get the true and honest information one way or the other. Now, if they are like dogged ideologues to the bitter end and they just refuse to cooperate with his requests for the bot activity on Twitter, he's just going to say, okay, you want to play hard, motherfucker? I'm going to rug pull this freaking deal and your stock price is going to shit the freaking bed. And you're going to be brought up on SEC charges because you intentionally fucking contrived this situation by refusing my requests. I'll rug pull your ass. Fuck you.
Well, so okay. Some people are saying that he can't back out of this just because Twitter is refusing to go through with his requests to try to figure out just how many bots there are. Twitter has maintained that less than 5% of its users are bots. It's been saying that for a few years now. Elon Musk is alleging that it's probably more like 20%. Some people are saying that it's more, even more than 20%. But so this it's a $44 billion deal that he's trying to make, and uh, so I
And
think.
I imagine there's a very robust contract behind that that has explicitly written out terms that say, hey, here's what I want to know before this deal closes. And if they're beating around the bush or obfuscating to his satisfaction of the terms laid out in the contract that I imagine for this $44 billion deal, there is a very large contract with very explicit and well written terms by some of the most expensive lawyers on the face of the earth. You know he has fucking legal teeth on his side.
Well, or it's possible that he doesn't entirely.
Mhm.
According to the opinions of some analysts, what Elon Musk is doing here, it may not work out. It may just kind of be more show than anything. Um, the but in order for Twitter to actually, so it's kind of interesting because when this started out, Elon Musk was like, "Yo, Twitter, let me buy you," and Twitter said, "No, no, 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 we don't want you to buy us," but they were playing hard to get. That's the thing, and now, when Elon Musk is like, "Well, you know what? I don't want to buy you anymore." Twitter is like, "No, you have to buy us. Like we love you, Elon Musk. Please own us." So, it's a little bit interesting. Twitter will probably take Elon Musk to court in order to try to get this purchase to happen, because as of right now, or at least at the closing Monday, the stock price of Twitter was $35 a share. On Friday the stock price was $35 a share. I guarantee you that by Monday this will go lower, because the news was announced after the markets closed Friday. So I mean, I'll tell you what, if you are currently holding Twitter stock, be prepared for a bloodbath on your finances Monday. It's that's my prediction. But Elon Musk, he wants to buy it for $54.20 a share, which would be phenomenal for anyone that's holding Twitter stock. And he made that deal, by the way, back in May, or sorry, back in I think it was back in April, when their share price was $45 a share. So the share price has slipped quite a bit since Elon Musk proposed the deal. And what that tells me is that, in general, the market is not really sure that Elon Musk is actually going to go forward with his deal. Overall, anyway, point being, my guess is that in order to avoid a long legal dispute, my guess, if Elon Musk is playing some sort of 4D chess game here, is that he will negotiate with them and settle on something a little bit cheaper than $54.20. I think that $42 might be maybe more reasonable. Because Elon can still get like the faux 20 kind of thing. But yeah, Jesus, I know that you have a keen interest in stocks. What do you think?
Well, I definitely don't think you should buy it for more than, between 40 and 45 a share. I think Twitter is just being super ridiculous and very crazy in their behavior. You can't buy us. All of a sudden, you have to buy us. As a matter of fact, we're going to sue you to enforce you buying us. I personally think he might just be trying to get the price lower, like you said. I don't think he's actually trying to pull out, but if he is, he might have a case. He's trying to ascertain whether or not the amount, the percentage of bots on Twitter is double digits.
It almost certainly is.
Yes, yeah, it's probably definitely over 10%. Now, I don't know if it's 30%, but it might be between 10 and 20%. I think he might just be trying to get them to bring that price down, and they're not giving him good information on the true numbers of bots that they have, that they've ascertained. So it's hard to say exactly what he's doing. He's not really doing a lot on his Twitter publicly. He's been very public with what's going on between him and the Twitter acquisition before this. So it's really hard to say exactly what his motives are.
Yeah, it is interesting. So like you said, Twitter, they came out in response to this, and they said, we intend to close the transaction and enforce the merger agreement at the agreed price and terms. So Twitter is very much invested in making sure that this deal now happens. They used to hate it, now they love it.
It's because if this deal doesn't go through, they're screwed.
Oh, they're so fucked.
They're so screwed.
Oh yeah, dude. If this actually falls through, I have no idea what their share price is going to be, but it's going to be abysmal.
$7.
You know what's going to happen? you know what's going to happen if that occurs? I don't know if anyone knows the percentage of institutional investors in Twitter, but from the news that's come out as this has been transpiring with the whole Elon Musk acquisition deal, if you remember that one Saudi prince guy that was like one of the bedrock investors in Twitter, along with a lot of other like multi-billionaire people around the world, not even including the institutions, I imagine that all of those people are going to be more than a little upset.
Yeah, I think they will. But then again, I think that Elon Musk has more money than any individual Saudi prince. So yeah, go fuck themselves. But one interesting aspect of this is that with all of the uncertainty around Twitter, it seems like you know who this bodes really well for. It would be Truth Social. I like this. This looks like really good shit for them.
Yep. Yeah, it would be really hilarious if all the leftoids abandon Twitter because Elon buys it and like goes to Gab or something, and they're like, "This is our platform now."
Yeah. This is for all of the alternative Twitters like a Minds or a Gab or a Truth. This is fantastic news. And I just due to the uncertainty and instability of that platform, I bet that there's going to be some migration, and maybe, like you said, maybe even some migration of some lefties.
But the thing is, like, what other platforms are left wing? Like, all the rising platforms are right wing, and this was inevitable. But you know what's been happening on these establishment platforms for years really is a sign of how intellectually bankrupt the left is. I mean, the fact that they have to ban opinions that go against the puritanical, progressive orthodoxy of the day. I mean, they are so intellectually bankrupt. It's just pathetic.
Yeah, I agree. Although, see, I don't have a Truth Social account, so I don't know.
Neither do I.
But I have heard from secondhand parties that banning does occur on Truth Social, but it's kind of like
really,
but it's in the opposite direction. So you know, if you want to say stuff about like
the virtues of communism or something.
Yeah, that's not going to be taken too kindly there.
Really?
And, yeah. So
wow.
In my opinion, obviously I'm a fan of Trump. I'll definitely be voting for him, and I fucking hate communism. However, when it comes to any platform that I would want to be on, I want just free speech for everything. I want the commies to be able to say their incredibly stupid points, so that I can argue with them about it, because it's fun to have the argument. It's important that on any of these social media sites you allow all of the speech, not just left, not just right speech, all of it.
Yes, agreed. And there shouldn't be biased banning of anyone. If you are going to be banning people, if you're going to ban right wingers for arguing, the virtues of an ethno state, or whatever, like removing black people from certain areas, or whatever, or just outright calls of violence, kill communists or whatever. Same thing on the left. It has to be.
We do not endorse violence on the public space. These are all philosophical and hypothetical points.
Yes, yeah.
It Good should. It will. I believe that for the most part, any of these platforms should basically adhere to whatever the Constitution says. So the First Amendment says that you have the right to free speech. You can basically say most anything that you want. There are certain limitations, like you cannot explicitly call for violence. And so if that's against the law, if that's against the Constitution, then okay, fine. Then that shouldn't be on the platform. I agree with that. You shouldn't be able to post snuff or pornography depicting people under the age of 18, right? Like, these are things that clearly should not be allowed. There are limits to your free speech.
Whoa. That last part of that, I don't know about that.
Jesus. Oh,
I'm
Jesus.
sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
You're the moral compass. So
Hey, Jesus was
Okay.
very rich, all right? For the time, it was acceptable at the time, okay? At the time when I walked the earth, it was 100% acceptable. So let's dial it back.
hey, you know what? You would get along with Muhammad.
Oh God.
Hey, by the way, we are fast approaching a time in the tech singularity progression where deep fake lollies could potentially be a thing. Very soon.
Deep fake what?
Lollies.
Deep fake
What-
lollies, yeah.
What's that?
Cheese pizza.
Yeah, so it's you know what, we don't need to get into it. But yeah.
Just imagine the Polar Express.
Oh,
but
Jesus Christ.
more
Okay, yep,
detailed.
yeah, we don't need to get into this. I agree with you that this is a thing, a technology that is probably
Okay.
gonna happen. But
I think I get with what you're going there.
Okay, the Polar Express. Just imagine.
okay, you know what? We're moving
heard
on.
of this.
We are moving on. Okay, great.
Okay.
Hey, I've got a joke here.
Okay, so yeah, so that was that's what's happening with Elon Musk and Twitter.
Well, not the latter part of the conversation, but everything former.
Right, yes. So to sum it up, I think if I were a betting man, I would say that this is probably a gambit that Elon Musk is taking in order to try to buy Twitter for a cheaper price.
Yes.
When he made the initial offer, Twitter was doing a lot better. However, at this point, they've lost like 25% of their value since he first made that offer, and it's probably looking like a bad deal to Elon Musk, and so he's probably trying to get it for a slightly cheaper price. I don't blame him. By the way, I don't hold any shares in Twitter, so also I don't use Twitter. I don't have a Twitter account, and I hold no shares. So I am impartial. I don't care that much what happens, but also I feel like Elon Musk would be way better at if let me put it like this: if Elon Musk bought Twitter, I would get a Twitter account. I will say that. So. Yeah, there's that.
Wonderful.
Well, basically, no matter what happens, Twitter improves, and if Twitter goes the way of the dinosaur, Twitter is cancer. So fuck it, we win either way.
Well,
Yeah.
well. To be fair, and I'd like to finish this off by just saying, I have a Twitter account only for the purpose of seeing what Elon Musk does, and it is 100% worth the time. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that was.
And it's gotten better ever since this whole fiasco with him starting to buy it. So.
Yeah, that was a lot of people. They only had Twitter accounts to find out what Donald Trump was saying, and
Yes.
yeah, and since he's been banned, I guess now it's Elon Musk.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, by the way, what we did see, I think a couple months ago, is that when Elon Musk started to look into things, suddenly, like literally overnight, a whole bunch of conservatives got a lot more followers and a lot more traction on the platform, and a lot of the more establishment left-wing people lost a lot of followers and lost a lot of traction.
Yep.
So it kind of looks as though maybe Twitter was artificially boosting people that they liked and artificially downranking people that they didn't like.
Yep.
Pure speculation, but yeah, I'm glad that an institution that large that has so much control over public discord is getting some fucking scrutiny. That is a good thing. So, moving on from that, the next piece of news is that the former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, was assassinated. This took place on Friday. Now I don't usually follow Japanese politics that much, so I honestly had no idea who this guy was because I'm an ignorant American, and I only care about American politics. But he seemed like kind of a based guy, and it's very unfortunate that he was killed. So this happened on Friday, July 8th at 11:30 a.m. He was shot in the back with a homemade firearm while he was giving a campaign speech for another candidate of the Liberal Democratic Party. I want to point out that the Liberal Democratic Party in Japan is the Conservative Party. They're a bunch of Japanese nationalists, and I say, fuck yeah, let's go Japanese nationalism. And yeah, so and of course that's what Shinzo Abe was. He was a member of the Liberal Democratic Party. Seems like a pretty based party. I think if I were a Japanese citizen, I would vote for them. And by the way, they are the largest party by a long shot. So good for Japan for having a strong conservative influence in their culture. Fuck yeah. They're not as libertarian as I would like, but Japanese, they're never going to be libertarian. But the shooter was a former member of the quote unquote Japanese Navy. Of course, Japan is not allowed to have a navy since World War II. They have
technically it's the defense force.
Yeah, they have a self-defense force with boats, but it's a navy effectively. So he was a member of the Japanese Navy, and he apparently did not do this for political reasons, I guess. It seems as though his personal reasons. So his mother had donated a whole bunch of money to the Unification Church, which is a religion that was created in South Korea. And I guess it's a little bit like American Mormonism. You know, they did their own offshoot of Christianity that seems a little bit cult-like, but whatever. So basically, this Unification Church, it started in South Korea. It spread to Japan. This guy's mother had donated a whole bunch of money to the Unification Church. And then she ended up going bankrupt, and that made this guy upset. And I guess that he believed that Shinzo Abe was responsible for spreading the religion from South Korea to Japan, and so he held a grudge against him, and then he decided to shoot him. Obviously, this guy was a little bit crazy, no doubt. And it's very unfortunate because he was the longest serving prime minister in Japanese history. He served from 2006 to 2007, and then from 2012 to 2020. And it seems like he was pretty based. And in fact, Trump was one of the first people to come out and respond to this. It took Joe Biden a number of hours, but Trump was on this like within a minute. Trump said that he considered him a deep personal friend. Also, Abe was the first leader to meet with him after Trump's election. So no one else in the world, not Justin Trudeau, not whoever's running Mexico, not Angela Merkel. No, the first person to meet with Trump after he was elected was actually Shinzo Abe. Very unfortunate. But I guess there it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's depressing stuff. It's absolutely terrible. I still haven't heard anything about a motive, but obviously he was very close with Donald Trump. I also heard he was close with Obama, which is, kind of interesting. But he did seem like he was kind of based. It's horrible, really.
Well, also, Shinzo Abe was vehemently anti-communist.
Yes, he was. Fuck
yes, yeah. That should be pointed out as well. General, have you heard anything else about the supposed gunman and any motives?
Well, like I said, the motive was it was personal rather than political, probably. At least that's what I've heard. Of course, I didn't get a chance to interview the suspect personally, but yeah, it like I said.
But what was the personal motive?
Well, it was like I said. Weren't you listening? He thought that Shinzo Abe had brought the Unification Church from South Korea to Japan, and then the Unification Church had bankrupted the shooter's mother.
Okay. So, I'm sorry. Yeah. The explanation was a little bit drawn out. I apologize.
No. Actually, thank you for asking, because I didn't.
No. Now that you said it the second time, I'm remembering. I apologize. My apologies.
Is the Unification Church the one with that weird guy named Hung Sung Moon?
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, they're actually called Moonies for short. Yeah.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah, they are like weird Korean Mormons in a way.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that like a central pillar of their religion is anti-communist. So, I mean,
well,
kind of based.
You bankrupted my mother. I need to Gorilla Glue and duct tape a shotgun together. Did you see the weapon? It literally looked like it was duct taped together.
Yeah.
It was a freaking zip gun, basically. It was like a freaking ghetto shotgun. Motherfucker, get the fuck out of here with your ghetto-ass shotgun. Shit.
It was a potato gun, but he didn't put a potato into it.
You know what the last the assassination of a political leader in Japan, if anyone remembers, there's an old black and white video of this. I don't remember the guy's name, but there's this famous black and white video of a Japanese politician getting stabbed through the back and out the chest with a fucking katana from behind.
Oh, I know the video that you're talking about.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, this I think it was like in the 80s or the 90s or something, but this politician, he was up on stage, he was addressing some shit, and then this guy just runs from stage left, I believe, and he just fucking plunges a katana or something related to a katana into this guy and runs off. Like, holy shit, man! In Japan, they do their assassinations pretty badass.
I know that I have seen a pretty interesting video of, I think it was a Pennsylvania senator, and there was some false corruption allegations levied against him, and he was going to go to prison, and he killed himself on national television, and someone brought him like an envelope. Yeah, I saw that, and I mean that was crazy.
And that was on live television. Like, I think that was back in the 70s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that wasn't during my time. But
okay, the reason I brought this up, by the way, the reason I brought up the katana stabbing incident in Japan, okay, my thinking is, like, if anyone doesn't know, guns are like super duper beyond European levels of illegal for private citizens to own in Japan.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
The process, it takes like fucking 10 years for an individual to get like a permit to have a gun of any kind in their possession at all. Now, that being said, I find it kind of strange and highly contrived that this person would go to all this trouble to craft an improvised shotgun-like weapon when Japan is literally filled with ancient deadly weapons like razor-sharp katanas that can cut through 4 human bodies with little to no effort. I wonder why this particular assassin went to all the extra trouble when he could have just, borrowed his grandfather's katana.
Well, do you want to know why? This is actually a little bit of history for you. So the reason why it is that we use guns nowadays instead of swords, because like we used to use swords, now we use guns for warfare. It's because guns are deadlier than swords. So I would imagine that's probably why you used a gun. It's more effective.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, if I had to guess, if I were an assassin and I had a razor sharp katana, or I could, get some metal pipe and manufacture a gun myself, and I knew the gun fired, I would probably bet if I were close enough, same range as like a sword or thereabouts, the gun would probably get the job done better. But it all depends. I don't know. I mean, if he could have gotten a good shot on his neck, maybe it would have been effective. But
Now, I do want to point out that this Shinzo Abe was not the biggest fan of China, which is fantastic.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why. It's not like China's communist or anything.
Right.
Well,
right.
It's not as though most Japanese have like a very old grudge against China in particular that's been going on for thousands of years.
So in general, the Chinese don't like the Japanese, and the Japanese don't like the Chinese in general. But Shinzo Abe, I think, more than average, he was distrustful of the Chinese, which I think is totally fucking fair. But yeah, this does kind of like he. I'm not that familiar with Japanese politics, but it seems like maybe he was like one of like the major people that was kind of like trying to stand up against Chinese involvement in Japan, and his death is even more unfortunate in that regard because you really don't want to see China having more involvement in Japan or really anywhere in the world, because everything that they touch turns to shit. They're like the opposite of Midas. But yeah, it's unfortunate.
I mean, everything they touch except maybe their own society, although in a sense their own society has kind of turned to shit, but it has been kind of one of the craziest economic rises in history within China. Crazy stuff.
I mean, that's true, but
but at what cost?
Well,
Yeah.
it's the exact same philosophy by which they built the Great Wall. Throw enough bodies at it, and you can achieve something great.
Yeah, and maybe even you could bury the bodies in the wall so no one knows about it.
Hey, I mean, they make good cement. What are you gonna do?
Well, there's also an even weirder case of an ancient Chinese battle where people on both sides resorted to cannibalism. And this one particular city that was being sieged, like, ate 80% of the population inside the city walls until the sieging army on the outside just had to give up from dehydration because they drank the river dry. And the city with like 20% of its people left, and they had ate everyone else. They called that a win.
God, I'm so glad we don't live in those times.
Yeah, shit used to be brutal, man.
Really brutal, even just 100 years ago. I mean, oof.
Oh, don't you call China society shitty or social credit score go down.
That's true. Don't say it.
Don't you say anything about Winnie the Pooh. And if you work in a factory making toys for the Disney Corporation to export to America that look like a yellow bear, do not say anything. That bear is nameless. It is written in English that you do not read. Do not question it.
So I was speaking of Japan. I was talking to someone the other night on the old Discord, and we were talking about suicide rates and how like Japan has the highest suicide rate of any like first world developed nation.
Yep.
I'm not exactly like I guess there's a lot of reasons for it, but I'll tell you what. No one commits Sudoku as well as the Japanese.
Wait a minute. That's not the right word for that.
I love Sudoku.
So you mean the Japanese commit to columns of letters or numbers more so than any other culture? That's what you meant by that statement.
Right. So that's a meme. Seppuku.
I think
right?
the word you mean is seppuku.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's funny to say Sudoku.
There's also
Well, I mean-
harakiri, which has a different connotation, but that's a whole other thing.
Maybe they play Sudoku in purgatory before they make it to heaven or hell.
Yeah. That absolutely could be possible. So, anyway, that was the bit about Shinzo Abe being assassinated. Extremely unfortunate. He seemed like a very based guy. He was a friend of Trump, and although I know nothing about Japanese politics, I guess he will be missed. So the next story about another PM.
Wait a minute. Before we move on, very quickly, since
Okay.
we're on the topic of
Sure.
Asian politics, before we move on, there's just one thing that I wanted to bring up. Recently, there was a massive data leak from China that exposed the private information of roughly 1 billion Chinese citizens. So, if anyone wants to look that up, I know Mudahar from Some Ordinary Gamers did a video on it recently. So if anyone wants more information about the massive data leak from China and how many private citizens of the Chinese country got their data exposed, you might want to look that up. You might be one of the people that is affected by this. If you're hearing this in China, you probably don't have anything to worry about because you have access to American YouTube, but just saying. Moving on.
Well,
I have 99.9% confidence that not a single Chinese motherfucker is listening to the show. I can basically guarantee that.
Wait a minute. If you look in your analytics, you might be surprised. Like, I know certain really big YouTube channels sometimes get like China and even North Korean subscribers, but those are agents of the government usually, for obvious reasons.
Well, to be fair, anyone can get a VPN, but I don't think that a majority of Chinese citizens have VPNs to access content outside of their own countries.
Probably not, now that you mention it. But anyway, moving on to the next article.
So, speaking of prime ministers, so Boris Johnson announced on Thursday, that would be July 7th, that he will be stepping down as the prime minister of Britain. I guess that this didn't really come as a surprise to many people that live in Britain. He's kind of been in a lot of scandals as of late. I think there was almost 60 different people that resigned within his government before he chose to resign. So he's stepping down, and that's probably I guess a good thing. But fucking hell, does Britain have shit poor leadership? Like, here in America, we're gonna have to choose between Trump and DeSantis, or maybe we'll get them both. Who knows? I would like both, but we're gonna have to choose between Trump and DeSantis, both of which are phenomenal leaders that I would be happy to vote for. Over in Britain, Theresa May was their conservative leader for a bit. She was absolute cocksucking shit, and Boris Johnson also turned out to be absolute cocksucking shit. So they don't have any good conservative leadership over in the UK. They remind me a little bit of the American Democrats. So I don't know what the fuck is going on with Britain, but yeah.
The American Democrats today, or of American Republicans just 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know enough about British politics to really weigh in on this. I mean, I've been hearing that he hardly passed a no confidence vote, and now he stepped down temporarily. He's like the placeholder PM for now, but he stepped down as the leader of the Conservative Party. Did he step down as Prime Minister?
Yeah. He's stepping down. He's stepping down as Prime Minister. He said that he will.
Is that effective immediately? Because I heard he wasn't going to do that for another while.
No. I think it's. I don't think it's effective immediately. I think it's like he's announcing that he will do it, but it
Okay, yeah, because I know he's effectively stepped down as a conservative leader. I mean, I don't know enough about British politics. I mean, General, I know that you've told me that British politics in many ways is more interesting than American politics, and I haven't really gotten into it.
Well, okay, so he said that he will continue as caretaker caretaker leader of the Conservative Party while they look for a successor to him. So I guess he's gonna be the mascot for a bit until they find someone slightly less retarded to replace him. But I guess when during his speech when he was saying that he was going to step down, he said, I'm proud of what we did with Brexit, and I think that to some extent you got to give him some credit on the Brexit thing. He did pretty much kind of push it through. I mean, it's not like he started it, but he kind of more or less sort of finished it, I guess. So, I mean, that was a good thing that he did. Unfortunately, it seems as though he completely botched the COVID response. So, I think he's a number of scandals, like I said, but one of the major scandals was called Partygate, because every scandal has to have a gate now. But anyway, so Partygate, basically it was these quote unquote social gatherings, which is just drunken debauchery parties that they were having, and they were doing it during COVID when they were telling the rest of the Britons to lock down, and that they can't even go jogging in the local park because of fears of COVID. But these conservative leaders, fuck yeah, they can just get shit-faced and, I don't know, do whatever they want to do inside of their big houses.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, screw Gavin Newsom. I agree. I mean, honestly, it's like it's the same thing that Democratic politicians were doing here in the United States.
Oh yeah, it's exactly the same shit that went on here in the United States with the Democrats, 100%. Except that
remember when in America the beer bug miraculously cured specifically African American individuals, and they just became miraculously immune for a course of several months while mostly peaceful protests were happening. You remember that?
Oh yeah. No, that's true. Actually, I was involved in some of the scientific studies that went on with that. Here's the thing. If you go outside, you're at risk of contracting COVID or spreading COVID. That's 100% true. You need to stay locked into your homes. However, if you are protesting, like George Floyd or something, if you're at like one of these Antifa or BLM rallies, you actually have a 0% chance of getting COVID or spreading COVID. This is science. I personally talked to Dr. Fauci about this one, and this is fact. So, yeah, that's
good.
That's how it works.
Good.
Oh, look at these
science run through you.
Look at these right-wingers out protesting. They're so selfish, spreading COVID. Oh, in other news, BLM protesters were out totally not spreading COVID. And as a matter of fact, scientific data shows that being out protesting social justice exempts you from spreading COVID whatsoever.
That's right. They're not spreading COVID, but they are spreading fires.
Yeah, exactly. No.
I
They're
think you
spreading
mean
peaceful
mostly
protests.
peace.
They
Yes,
peaceful fires.
yes, peaceful fires of peace.
Only slightly fiery. Remember this famous CNN quote, and CNN, if they're not the authorities on what you need to believe, I don't know who he is, but okay, mostly peaceful, but only sometimes fiery.
No, it's fiery, but mostly peaceful.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, fiery. Yeah.
What you?
I mean, to be fair, though, I mean, many things are mostly peaceful. I mean, think about Shinzo Abe. I mean, that was a mostly peaceful event. He came to the event. All right, Shinzo Abe was advocating for this candidate, and it wasn't up until the last few seconds that it was violent.
Dude, it was like it was 10 seconds of violence.
Yeah,
right.
Honestly, and I mean, like 9/11, that was like less than a second of violence. If you really think about it, I mean, the whole time they had taken the plane, and, they were flying, and it was peaceful. I just, God, it's so extreme.
Right. I mean, come on. You ever heard of a peaceful arson? It's a thing.
Yeah, peacefully setting occupied buildings on fire, no big deal,
Well, the lighting of that match only took a second.
As a matter of fact, I was talking to firefighters in the summer of 2020 when I went to the river in my city, and a firefighter had told me that, like, during the summer of love, in some of these weekends, someone had set an occupied building, like an apartment building, had been set on fire, and they were trying to get to the building, and there were protesters who were not only blocking the road, but were attacking them from getting to the occupied building that had been set on fire.
That sounds...
Jesus Christ. Well, speaking of Japan...
Well, that sounds mostly peaceful to me.
Speaking of Japan, like, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that was also mostly peaceful. It
was like 2 seconds!
Yeah, the explosion happened, like, within, not that much time. It was mostly peaceful.
Yeah! Honestly, God, these so ignorant. People are so ignorant.
These goddamn conservatives.
Yeah, fucking conservatives. Like, basically, conservatives are soulless goblins that want nothing but your death and utter destruction. So, conservatives bad. BLM good.
And what happened in the Chicago Lund, the Highlandus Park?
Yes.
I mean, come on, that wasn't even. It was like 5 minutes. I mean, whatever.
Well, yeah, it was better than the Uvalde shooting, because actually that went on for like a goddamn hour and a half.
Over in Uvalde, it was at the Elementaris Schoolis. It wasn't that. It was like what an hour.
Why
and
are
a
you
half or whatever?
speaking pig Latin at me?
On the white supremacy.
This is just for the for the algorithm. I mean, hey.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think for you. I'm trying to think for you here. But for real, what was that, like an hour and a half? I mean, there's 24 hours in a day. Let's be real.
Also, well, you know what? True. That day was mostly peaceful.
Yeah, it was.
Well, you see the difference there. This is why I have to disagree with you. You see, that was clearly a white supremacist.
Yes.
Yeah, he's so white. He was Hispanic.
Doesn't Hispanic count as white in the U.S. Census?
Only if you don't vote for Democrats.
There you
go. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Lord. Oh, God, yeah, but depressing stuff, though.
I'm so glad the world is so fucking peaceful. I mean, like, goddamn, this is like the most peace we've ever had in our entire life.
It just keeps getting more and more peaceful, boys.
Yes.
Progressivism is working. We just have to stay the course. 1,000 points of light. Stay the course. Only a few people in the audience are going to get that reference.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the reference, but I don't know how you two feel about people saying, "Oh, well, we all know that it's true that in 500 years society is going to be communist." Yeah, I don't think that's true. I think we have no idea what society will look like in a couple hundred years.
I can
Sounds like a fascist to me.
I can guarantee you that in 500 years, society will not be communist because communism doesn't appear to be stable for more than like 50 years.
Well, that
Yeah.
wasn't real communism.
Oh, we just gotta try it again and again and again.
Yeah, eventually you fucking white supremacist capitalist pigs will finally get your fucking message, and we can live in a communist utopia with Hegel rising from the dead through the dialectical process as laid out by Lacan.
I swear though that meme, Tim Pool posted this hilarious meme, and it's like this like purple-haired, like short-haired, like feminist, like turning back to a gulag administrator in like Stalinist clothing, like, comrade, when do we get the free healthcare?
Oh, don't worry, we're going to aid in your transition from the mortal coil into the glorious afterlife. Just face the wall and think of Hegel.
And they're standing in like a group of people and everyone's handcuffed. Like it's like that's essentially how it is.
Well, do you see, the handcuffs are just for their security so they don't injure themselves before they get the free health care.
There you go.
Exactly,
You
have to keep them safe before you administer your free health care.
This is a very safe society. Everyone needs to be restrained for their own safety and the safety of others. It's all about safety. Why don't you want anyone to be safe? You fucking capitalist piece of shit. Fuck you.
Yeah. We need to start treating people like dogs.
Hey, you know what they say? No one does euthanasia better than the euthanasia.
Where the fuck even were we? What has happened to this show?
I want to say, speaking of which, I was talking to this guy. He was like he was like one of those like big time conspiracy theorists, and like he was like one of those like flat earthers or whatever. And he was telling me, like, Israel, it doesn't exist. He was like, yeah, Israel, like, it isn't real. And then I was like, no, dude, Israel is real.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. But Israel?
Israel is real.
Israel?
I mean, it's literally in the name.
Yeah, it is real.
Yeah, obviously. It's in the fucking name.
Okay, so, also, back to American news. So we have a very humorous Biden gaffe. It's not particularly impactful, but it is funny. So Biden, he was doing a quote, and actually I pulled it up here. So let me see, or I thought I pulled it up. All right, let me. Let me just describe what happened. So, he was giving a speech. He was saying that it's noteworthy that women vote more, which is true. Women do vote more than men. There are more registered women voters than there are registered men voters, and women are more likely to vote than men are, which is
that's because men are disenfranchised.
Well, yeah, it could be. But anyway, after he was basically Biden was doing an appeal. He was saying like, hey, women vote more, so you women go out and vote for representatives that will go into Congress and get abortion back. I'm not.
Yes, yeah. Vote for representatives who want to kill your babies.
Yeah, it seems a little bit demonic when you think about it, but
yeah.
Anyway, he was quoting something, and then he said, "End quote. Repeat the line." And this was, of course, humorous to everyone. A number of publications came out and said, "Oh no! Don't worry. This wasn't a gaffe. In fact, this he meant to say end quote. Repeat the line." Because it totally made sense in context. But if you actually, if you actually watch the clip, it's very clear that what happened was, on a teleprompter there are words, but then also sometimes there are instructions, like say this in a bold voice or say this in a soft voice, and it's very clear that Biden just read out the instructions because he's sundowning. Okay, that's clearly what happened.
Well, I think you're
Yeah.
misconstruing the situation. I think that he actually did say that for impact. It was like brilliant fifth-dimensional chess, you see. It's like by saying end quote, repeat line, he's like instilling in the heart and soul of every female voter. That's like they can all think in their heads like, yeah, end quote, repeat the line, and they can remember that touching and insightful and empowering speech, and they can end the quote in their mind and then repeat the speech over and over for additional effect. You see, that's what he was going for. You're just a fucking alt-right conspiracy theorist. Why are you allowed to talk on a public forum?
That's basically facts.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, it was read out for him to read, wasn't it?
So
exactly.
I'm gonna play the gaffe that he did. You guys won't be able to hear it, but it's recorded on my end. So I'm just gonna play it briefly.
It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line. Women are not with.
So, yeah, that was the quote. Just repeat the line. Fuck yeah. It was a funny gaffe on the part of the president. But this speech was actually about an executive order that he is giving in response to the Supreme Court knocking down Roe v. Wade, and so the executive order that he's put forward, because of course all the best things come from executive orders. It includes a number of things, but he wants to set up mobile abortion clinics that are near the border of the states that are rejecting abortion. He wants to increase access to Plan B and IUDs and other sorts of birth control. He wants to increase public education, I assume, about the benefits of abortion. And he wants to create a new task force on reproductive health and how best to murder your fetus, I believe. So, yeah, that's the executive order that he put out.
Well, okay, here's the thing that I'm thinking of, okay. You just said that this is his executive order, correct?
From Joe Biden himself.
Okay, so that means that presumably what he was quoting from was something that he himself wrote.
I think in that particular instance, he was actually quoting someone else that had said the thing that he was quoting.
I would certainly hope so, because, I mean, if he was quoting from his own executive order, that this would just be a whole other dimension of clown world.
Oh no, I don't think he was doing that. But then again, I mean, come on, man, you Breaker, you never quoted yourself to make yourself sound smart. That's the thing that you do.
I used to quote myself all the time, especially when I sit on the stand and the kids would come up to me in the pool and they rub my legs and the hair would stand up and turn blonde in the sun. Ever since then, I've loved kids jumping up and down in my lap. That's how I learned about roaches. Come on, man. America.
That's how I learned about roaches.
Yay.
Oh my god.
I think Jesus is just gobsmacked. He doesn't know what the fuck to say about this level of stupidity.
I mean, honestly, at this point, it's just elder abuse. It's like it was super. Yeah. It was super funny at first. You know, Biden just these terrible gaffes, but it's gotten to a point where I'm just done with it. It's not. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Yeah.
Well.
It's like, hey, pick up Grandpa from the nursing home and have him
It's like-
give like this impassioned speech.
Yeah, well, the thing it's like you keep hearing about these scandals that Trump committed, and that it's over, Trump, it's finished, like, and it just never. We just keep hearing about it.
Well, anyway, I for one, I am so glad that Joe Biden will be organizing portable abortion clinics that will be right outside the state lines of the states that have rejected abortion. Just seems like just absolute brilliance. I mean, for the federal government essentially to directly antagonize these states. I don't know why it is that the federal government has this sort of power to have, just set up mobile abortion clinics right outside of, let's say, like a Texas or a Mississippi. But yeah,
Nice.
I mean, you're gonna do what you're gonna do.
It's not
Can
that
those
bad.
buses? Okay, if this is going to be a thing, I want those buses to number one say Joe Biden's campaign slogan, which was "No Malarkey," right in the front, and right below the "No Malarkey" is like a sticker of a fetus getting sucked out of a womb with a vacuum pump. And then right under that, I want to see like all of Biden's sponsors. I want to see Lockheed Martin. I want to see Boeing. I want to see fucking Warren Buffett's family crest and coat of arms, because we all know who the fuck pays these motherfuckers.
Well, okay. In response to that, Breaker, I have 3 words for you. Okay, true and anana shabada pressure. Okay, simple.
That should definitely be on the side of the bus in bold letters, underlined. And then with a quotation at the end that says, end quote, repeat the line.
I mean, honestly, though, yeah, they should have the mobile buses. They should have all that stuff on it, and then they should also have the body count of all the dark babies,
Oh,
and say
jeez.
we are so proud of the progress that we've made.
I mean, that is really progressive.
Wow, so progressive.
I've got an even better idea. Let's get like a bunch of those Black Mirror robo dogs, like those creepy Boston Dynamic dogs, and let's mount like industrial pumps on their back that literally chase uncertain women around. It's like, should I get an abortion? Should I not? And they're just waiting right at the state line, just with the pump ready on their back.
Yes,
ready
yes,
to suck
yes.
that fetus out.
Yeah. Suck the fetus out and then drag it along the tarmac. How about that?
They should all have. They should have Klaus Schwab's voice and say, "We need to control the world population.
Yes,
your sacrifice of your fetus will not be in vain."
Yes. Yes.
Well, I want to
Yes.
I want to point out that we here at the Promethean Tides podcast, we all have different opinions on different things. We can agree on some things, we disagree on some things, and that's totally chill. So personally speaking, I kind of think that it's reasonable that maybe you cut off abortion after, let's say, like week 2 or week 3, something like that.
Okay.
I know that when it comes to Jesus being the very pro-life Son of God type of individual that he is, he's more like before 3 months. And then Breaker actually he takes the most interesting stance. So he is actually anti-choice and anti-life. He believes that the government should mandate abortions onto women against their will. So we all have differing opinions on abortions here, but the point is that we can all discuss it openly.
Yeah, they took down the fucking Georgia Guidestones. These motherfuckers have to pay. We need the full robo dogs with the mobile aborto vacuums on their fucking backs. This is fucking war. They took down the monuments of how to guide mankind into the future. It's on, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. We need to create like regular, everyday, like a kitchen utility. You know, something you plug into the wall. An abortion should be that easy.
The Abortotron.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, I'm Doctor. What is it? Call me Doctor Deletus. I'm coming for your fetus.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so, the next story is that, so the Supreme Court, in addition to overturning Roe v. Wade, they also upheld concealed carry. So, whereas there were a number of states in the union that did not allow for concealed carry, the Supreme Court, they said, hey, you know what? Everyone, every state has to basically allow for concealed carry. I'm in support of this. I believe that everyone else here is in support of this Supreme Court decision. But New York, they came out and they said, well, you know what? How about this? If you want to have if you want to have the permit to be able to hold a concealed carry weapon, then you have to hand over your social media to the government so that they can review it and then give you a permit. I found this to be very interesting.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, given the only thing that I've ever said on social media, any social media that has my real name attached to it, the only meaningful statement I've ever made is like, I'm going to the park next week. Hope I have fun. And clearly that could be read into as like a very deftly concealed threat to go to a park with a concealed firearm and do some type of criminal activity with said firearm. So clearly I don't deserve a gun.
True. 100% true. So yeah, I guess that New York has decided that, hey, you know what? If you if you would like to own a firearm, you got to have the appropriate social credit score from your social media. Make sure that you I don't know, didn't say anything too raunchy. I hope that you never got upset about anything and you posted about it. I hope that you, I don't know, probably didn't advocate for Trump in any way whatsoever. Absolutely brilliant move on New York. It does not remind me of 1984 whatsoever, and is definitely not a violation of basic constitutional rights, like, let's say, the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah. Pretty much. Nothing to see here.
Also, there's like a case to be made on First Amendment grounds too, because okay, if you're on social media saying a whole bunch of stuff, I mean, as long as I think the burden of proof for the government, if they would want to look through someone's social media and say, okay, this person is a risk for having a gun, it should be some type of post on social media that is extremely unambiguous and hyper-specific, like, once I acquire this firearm, I will do X illegal activity with the firearm, and it has to be that fucking explicit on social media with their name attached to it before that law could be enacted. But as we all know, they're going to read into anyone's social media post like, I like Donald Trump. Well, clearly that's a fascist Nazi that wants to kill all the Jews in Manhattan, so that person can't have a gun. Clearly.
No, I don't think there should be any oversight over one social media to be issued concealed carry. It's a slippery slope. Once you start allowing that in any capacity, it becomes dangerous.
Oh yeah, clearly. The red flag laws are absolute horseshit. Yeah. I'll tell you what. If you committed a violent crime and you went through the judicial process and you were found guilty, and then you were committed to a jail or a prison, then it would be a prison. Then in that case, okay, I can understand that maybe you're not allowed to own certain firearms. I can understand that reasoning if you're a violent felon, if you're a rapist or a murderer. Okay, yeah, you're not allowed to own a gun.
No, I don't even agree with that.
But
I think...
hold on. But here's the thing. When it comes to the red flag laws, what they're doing is they're saying, hey, are you an American citizen that has no history of committing any sort of violent crimes whatsoever? Well, because your neighbor doesn't like you, we can take your guns away anyway. That seems like complete fucking insanity. I don't think that anyone who is rational can support that unless you're like a fucking gung ho authoritarian. And even like if you look at the case of the Highland Park shooting, some people were saying, "Oh, well, this guy should never have been allowed to have guns." Well, here's the thing: he didn't have a criminal record. Okay, like
yeah,
it's incredibly unfortunate that happened. But we can't use that as a precedent to say, oh, well, that person that didn't have a criminal record whatsoever should not be able to own a gun.
Yep.
You can't go doing that, because here's the thing. You have, for the most part, you have 300 million Americans that don't do fucking mass shootings, and you have one asshole who does. And then your argument is that, okay, well, one asshole did this, ergo we're going to restrict the rights of 300 million Americans. No, it does not follow. Fuck that shit.
Nope. It's ridiculous. I was talking with someone in my family who works for the state, and she was telling me, oh, well, if these shootings keep happening, we're going to have to, gun rights are going to, go the way of, old times. They're going to go away. And I was like, no, they're not. It's like they're clearly outlined in the Constitution. And of course, before that, she was bemoaning, the abortion decisions. And I was like, it's not outlined in the Constitution. Like, it's pretty clear cut.
Yeah,
I think
anyone who thinks that the Second Amendment is going anywhere should really try to consider the logistics of actually taking away the guns of millions of armed Americans. I don't think it's going to go the way that you think it's going to go.
Yeah. Have you heard of an IED?
Well, there you go. I think you mean, IED. There's an IUD, but that has more to do with the abortion issue. But anyway,
technically speaking, you could use an IED as an abortion device.
I mean, certainly. You could abort 2 lives.
I mean, if you fucked a lot of men, particularly black men, we do not endorse this type of behavior, but technically...
I don't know what you were implying by that, Breaker. It sounded racist, and I admonish you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, as I deserve. Clearly, I'm white and have the smatterings of a southern accent, so I'm basically a fascist. But anyway, as far as IEDs could be IUDs if your cunt was large enough to accommodate the IED. But anyway,
it could just be in the same room.
That's true. It doesn't actually have to be inserted.
Well, that's one hell of a cunt.
We're moving ever so swiftly onwards from this.
But wait a minute. I had an opinion on the gun thing that's probably the most extreme opinion here. I mean, I think that after... Okay, let's say if you were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to, let's say 25 years, because there are cases where someone commits first-degree murder and the sentence can be 25 years. This is not unheard of. I think that, okay, if the only thing you get from that crime is a sentence of 25 years in prison, I think the second you step out of that prison, even though you committed first-degree murder with a firearm, after you have served that time and been convicted and judged and served the fucking time, I think it should be like an instant fucking cutoff point and you can now legally own a gun again. Fuck it.
I mean, maybe.
Like, this eternal fucking albatross of this felonious record hanging around people's necks, I would argue, is a violation of the Eighth Amendment. It's cruel and unusual punishment. It's an unnecessary abridgment of people's rights after they have served their time. They've been convicted, sentenced, and served the time, paid the fine, whatever, for the crime. It should be fucking over with after it's done.
That's a good point.
I think that you might ultimately be right about that. Yeah,
That's a pretty good point.
Yeah, the punishment is the jail time.
Yep, agreed. I'm not totally against it. It would have to be argued on a legal basis, but it sounds pretty sound.
I think I would have to agree with that on a logical and philosophical level, but I think that just the populace and their feelings would reject that.
Yeah, I didn't say it would be a popular opinion. I just say it would be a very extreme opinion. But anyway, moving ever so swiftly on.
Yeah. So anyway, to wrap that up, fuck New York. They're a bunch of authoritarian assholes, and they're probably also commies. So that had to do with the Supreme Court, and
yes.
Actually, Jesus, you had something that I didn't look into at all, but something about the EU in regards to the Supreme Court.
Yeah. So essentially, what's happened over the past this week, the EU Parliament has officially voted to condemn overturning of Roe v. Wade. Now, it says that I'm reading from Axios here. It says the European Parliament voted 324 to 155 to condemn the U.S. Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade and demand that abortion rights be enshrined in the EU's Fundamental Rights Charter. It says here why it matters. The Supreme Court's decision last month to end federal protections for abortion was widely denounced by world leaders and human rights organizations. In the wake of the ruling, lawmakers in Israel and France have taken steps to shore up their domestic protections for abortion. The big picture is in the resolution, European MEPs expressed their solidarity with American women and girls and called for the U.S. Congress to pass federal protections for abortion, according to a European Parliament press release. Okay, well, here's the problem with that. There are many, many problems with that. Now, I'm going to actually read off here a list of European countries.
But before you go into that, I want to point out, hey, EU, if you're listening, fuck off.
Yeah. Essentially, as a matter of fact, being denounced by the EU makes me more proud to be an American. So the more denouncing they do, the happier I am. So the problem with this is not only is it's 100% symbolic, it means nothing. This is just pure virtue signaling. It's grandstanding and virtue signaling. Ridiculous. Here is a list of most of the European countries and their laws. We have Austria, 13 weeks. Belgium, 12 weeks. Bulgaria, 12 weeks. Croatia, 10 weeks. This is not allowing abortion beyond this point. Okay? So Cyprus, 12 weeks. Czech Republic, 12 weeks. Denmark, 12 weeks. Estonia, 11 weeks. Finland, 12 weeks. France, 14 weeks. Germany, 12 weeks. Greece, 12 weeks. Hungary, 12 weeks. Iceland, 12 weeks. Italy, 12 weeks. Latvia, 12 weeks. Liechtenstein is a total ban. Lithuania, 12 weeks. Luxembourg, 12 weeks. Malta, total ban. Netherlands, 24 weeks. So that's one of the more liberal ones. Norway, 12 weeks. Poland, total ban. Way to go, Poland. Portugal, 10 weeks. Romania, 14 weeks. Slovakia, 12 weeks. Slovenia, 10 weeks. Anyways, you get the point. Oh, wait, there's only a few more. Spain, 14 weeks. Sweden, 18 weeks, Switzerland 12 weeks, United Kingdom 24 weeks. So of these nations, we got Netherlands and the UK with the most lax laws. And here from what I just read off there was Wikipedia. So here from the Catholic News Agency, and I've kind of checked over that this information is correct. It says, or relatively correct, one of the more extreme requirements in Europe is, in Germany, abortion for any reason is permitted in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy, but the law requires counseling at a state-approved center and a 3-day waiting period before procedure can take place. So you actually have to stay at the facility and be evaluated for several days before the procedure can be performed. So and it's ridiculous because many relatively conservative U.S. states are going to ban abortion past 12 or 15 weeks. Virginia is not going to allow abortion beyond 15 weeks. And that, from what we're seeing here, is more lax than most of these European countries, which don't allow abortion beyond 10 to 12 weeks.
Well, I mean,
so
leave it up to the French and the Germans to be complete fucking hypocrites.
I mean, this is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. And, I don't agree with Missouri or Alabama completely banning abortions. I think that the 12 to 15 weeks, I think that's a good compromise because typically a heartbeat is detected between 13 and 16 weeks. But, over 90% of abortions within the United States are performed prior to 13 weeks. So I don't see the problem with what many of these U.S. states are going to do.
No, that sounds like a bunch of bureaucrats in the EU saying that abortion is like super good. Okay. And even though they're not following those policies in their countries, of course, you know what that's like? It's like if the UN came out and all these UN leaders they all voted that that violence is wrong. It doesn't do shit. The UN can tell everyone that violence is wrong all day, every day. It doesn't do shit. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, like, before we started the show, we were going over this, and, like, my whole takeaway from this is, all this is a completely hollow, like, political posturing conjecture with no real teeth behind it. And I'll tell you the main reason why I personally think that is because, number one, the U.S. Navy basically patrols all the frickin' European trade lanes and keeps pirates from stealing their shit. Like the real-life Captain Jack Sparrow. I'm going to down a mega point, and I'm going to dock over that container filled with little German chocolates. And yes, all those chocolates will be mine. Out of the U.S. Navy! How dare you! Next time, U.S. Navy! Ooh. But that notwithstanding, there's also that America basically has fuck you veto power in, like, the UN. So
That's true.
if you fuck with America, America is just going to be like, oh, so you're wanting to fuck with us? Well, how about I don't approve that foreign aid package? You get where this is going, motherfucker? Yeah, I thought you would shut the fuck up real quick.
The Ukraine.
Even in the Ukraine. Oh, did you bring up Ukraine's abortion laws, by the way?
No, actually. I apologize. Actually, this list here does not include Ukraine. It only includes part of the European nations. I'll have to look that up right now. Let me actually find that.
Yeah, look up Ukraine. You might be surprised.
Because you know what? If their abortion laws are not in accordance with California, we can't be sending them $50 billion goddamn dollars.
Ukraine's not in the EU, correct?
It is
I
not.
don't believe. Okay, I was going to say. I was like, definitely not. Okay, so that list that I was reading from is exclusively
Right.
EU countries.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the EU. Yeah.
But the EU is like the most left-wing part of Europe for the most part.
Well, if the EU is condemning America for like not having like a federal mandate for access to abortion, I wonder, like, by proxy, does the Ukraine ever enter this equation? And if you look up their abortion laws real quick, we might be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, so essentially it says abortion in Ukraine is legal on request during the first 12 weeks of pregnancy. Between 12 and 28 weeks, abortion is available on a variety of grounds, including medical, social, and personal grounds, and for any reason with the approval of a commission of physicians. So
28 weeks? That's like
Well,
7
the-
months. Fuck.
the 28 weeks, that would probably only pertain to like very specific crucial things, the life of the mother and things like that. I would imagine that most of the allowances of abortion would fall between 12 and 16 weeks.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter anyways, because over 90%, well, this is in the United States, over 90% of abortions are performed before 13 weeks. I would assume in the EU it's relatively similar.
Yeah, most
There you go.
most likely. Okay, well, yeah. So I guess the EU has condemned America because we're doing shit in a vaguely similar fashion to the way that the EU is doing shit, but they have to condemn it because reasons. But moving.
Bitch, pay for your own fucking military then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fuck you, EU. Specifically, and I'm gonna really state this. Here's the thing, right? Like, overall, fuck the EU, right? But here's the thing. I know that the people of Europe are mostly good people that are hardworking, and they're just trying to work for their families and continue living, and I get it, man. Like I don't hate the peoples of Europe, right? Like they're good people, and I'm sorry that you have this autocratic government that is controlling your lives. I really think it's unfortunate. But here's the thing, right? This is all of a German design. So, to a certain extent, when you think about it, there is a common problem here, and there might be a common solution. Anyway, so I wanted to get into the Georgia Guidestones.
Well, obviously the EU is the Fourth Reich, but anyway, moving on.
Yes.
Wait. Is the EU controlled from Germany?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, it's basically.
I'm joking.
Okay. Yeah. It basically, it turns out that the Germans tried to conquer Europe in World War I. They lost. Germans tried to conquer Europe in World War II. They lost. Germans did conquer World War III. Germans did conquer Europe, not with World War III. And not a single bullet was fired because they used bureaucracy. And apparently bureaucracy is more powerful than any nuclear missile.
Very smart. Yeah, although there is a European Senate, all countries besides Germany have like no power. It's like an advisory thing. It's like, I strongly do not like this. And then the EU in Brussels is like, yeah, we'll consider that.
Well, yeah, you better listen to me. I'm going to legislate that your candlewick length can be no longer than 1 centimeter, and then your candle will run out the second you light it.
Well, okay. To be absolutely fair, the other power that has a lot of control over the EU is France. But France is kind of like the beaten wife of like the guy wearing the wife beater. Like, of course France is going to go along with whatever Germany says.
Is the
Well,
wife beater
France-
white, and does France wave the white beater around in surrendering?
Yes, of course.
Well, in France, you don't even have to worry so much about abortion, and that the French are less likely to kill the kid and more likely to fuck it.
Jesus.
You know what? I'm gonna admonish you for that because I think
Now look up list of French intellectuals that signed to abolish the age of consent.
All right, you may have a point. I don't know.
I mean, hey, they are pretty kinky.
They are. I mean,
That's the town that Roman Polanski calls home. So
they named the French tickler after an entire goddamn nation. So, anyway, I wanted to go over the Georgia Guidestones because we actually we addressed this during the midweek show, but we didn't get like that much into it. And actually, I feel like we should have gone into it a little bit more. I feel like I didn't do a satisfactory amount of research on it. So, as we know, the Georgia Guidestones, they were bombed, or an explosive device was put next to them. Later, whatever local government had to demolish them due to safety reasons because basically they could topple over at any point, and these are very massive, very heavy blocks of stone. So, right now, I continue to think that there was actually value in the Georgia Guidestones. It kind of makes sense to me, right? Like, in general, these things, they had like it was supposed to be like a Rosetta Stone, like you could translate different languages through this. It had like mathematical axioms, some principles of science, some things that humans have discovered. Like it could serve as like a calendar. Like honestly, it was a pretty cool thing, and it's unfortunate that it came down. However, inscribed on the stone was some less scientific and more prescriptive ideas. There was 10 of them. So these are like the 10 commandments of the Georgia Guidestones. And I just wanted to go through them and see if we disagreed or agreed on them. So the first one is maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Do we agree with this? Breaker.
That I half want to agree with that, but for like pragmatic reasons, I like assigning like some arbitrary number to the total population of humanity on Earth, and that's assuming a supreme level of arrogance that whichever elites are going to be maintaining this number, like they know what's best for the human species, evolutionarily speaking.
Of course they do. They're the elites. They always know what's best.
Well, yeah, as I'm thinking through that in my mind, like, I know what they're going for, but it's too fucking arrogant and anthropocentric to actually think of an entire species in those terms from my perspective. So I'll politely disagree with that more so than what I think the next person is going to say about it.
And Jesus, what do you think about this?
God, I don't know. I mean, 500 million sounds like a reasonable number to kind of allow nature to not, I don't know, be fucked. But at the same time, I don't agree with putting a cap on the total population of humanity. That's just insane. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I had to say myself, I'd say an ideal population of Earth, to not throw off the balance of nature too much, would be between 500 million and 2.5 billion. But again, putting caps on it, no.
And I will, of course, take the correct opinion. And it is not up to any man to decide how it is that humanity ought to reproduce. This is not something that any man should be in control of. Human beings will reproduce, and no matter how man reproduces, it is in accordance with nature. So, in general, fuck that shit. Why is it 500 million? Number one. Number two, no one gets to decide who gets to reproduce and who doesn't. That's called eugenics, when you try to limit populations for specific reasons, and that is fucking evil. So, yeah, not a big fan of that one, but we can move on to number two.
The only thing that I'll say to cap that off is, like, if the future evolutionary state of humanity progressed to something like some type of weird eusocial creature where most of humanity were sterile workers and there was only like a select number of reproductive queens or something, maybe that would make a bit more sense, but we're getting to like the future of all tomorrow's like super sci-fi level shit with that, so moving on.
Yeah, we are neither ants nor mole rats. Number two, guide, and God, I hate this one. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity.
Well, we all know what that's really saying.
We need more basketball Americans.
Wait,
Basketball is
what?
pretty
What was it again?
Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like a politically correct eugenics.
That's like unambiguous, full-throated eugenics.
Yeah, that shit's fucking evil. Number three, unite humanity with a living new language. One new languge. Maybe like a
One language to rule them all.
maybe like a newspeak, you know, like double plus good.
Oh, like Ebonics.
Fuck it.
Either
Just
one.
go full duck. Just go full duck speak and remove the word no.
Okay, so yeah, clearly fuck number three. Number four. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason.
Well, that sounds more like that sounds like something you would more say to an individual person on a more personal level than like this guiding ethos for all of humanity in general. That one is starting to sound a bit more reasonable when I think about it. But given what this has already said, the type of people laying these things out, I don't trust enough.
Yeah, they sound suspect at best.
Yeah. I mean, so far, it's complete and utter insanity. But you know what? Number four, I don't necessarily hate it. Rule, passion, faith, and tradition, and all things tempered with reason. All right. Seems not that bad.
Yeah.
Number five, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts.
Okay. I mean, off to a good start.
Well, that one sounds more reasonable, but keep in mind what these motherfuckers have said up to this point and the type of people that these are, and I guarantee you that there'll be a bit more liberties taken with that statement.
These type of people, meaning hippies, yeah, you can't trust them. But number five, overall, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. I can agree to that one. So four and five, reasonable. Now we get on to six. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court.
A world court?
A world court, you see? It will resolve all the problems.
Like the EU. Except it's not very decentralized.
No, like the UN. Okay? The EU is for Europe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but God, the UN isn't very decentralized now, is it?
Well, Okay, so here's the thing, right? I agree. I agree. Let all nations rule internally. I agree with that. I believe in national sovereignty for all nations. No. But I don't know if we need to be resolving external disputes in a world court. That sounds like a pile of danger to me.
You know what that sounds like to me? I can sum that up very succinctly with what that sounds like to me by merely saying, one ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in darkness bind them.
Yeah, actually, very good summation. Yeah. Okay, so fuck number 6. So far, 1, 2, and 3 suck. 4 and 5 are okay. 6 sucks. Now, let's get into number 7. Avoid petty laws and useless officials.
Uh,
I mean,
Lucky number 7, I can agree with that wholeheartedly.
I mean, kind of based.
yeah. Depending on what position you're coming from.
I think not in general. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. That sounds pretty good. I can get behind that.
Well,
It's
that
pretty
sounds like
broad,
abolish the. That sounds like abolish the police and make all abortions legal, even after the baby is coming out of the womb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds it's broad, but it sounds reasonable.
I mean, Breaker. Do you think that abortion laws are petty, and do you think that police are useless? I don't think so. I totally agree with number 7.
Well, from your perspective, but keep in mind the type of people writing this and what we already have into their particular insights and their worldview. It's like, these are the type of people that would say the police are useless and abortion laws are petty. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so it seems extremely clear to me that the person who was writing this was a hippie, and when I say hippie, I mean basically a libertarian lefty, right? So I disagree with them on their lefty positions, but I agree with them on their libertarian positions.
I can see that from your perspective.
Even though a libertarian lefty is sort of a contradiction, it's kind of like oxymoronic, but
Yep.
Okay, so number 8, balance personal rights with social duties.
I think I agree with that the most out of all of them so far.
Jesus.
It's so vague.
No, but just in general, come on, this is biblical. Balance personal rights with social duties.
I agree with it. Yes, I agree with it.
I also agree with it. I think that's kind of like the standard ideology of American conservatism. It's totally fine.
Okay, as long as it means something like, if you want to vote, you have to have a certain amount of demonstrable personal responsibility to the point where we know that you're not going to vote yourself other people's money.
You know what the best way to decide if someone has enough I guess impact on civilization to be able to be worthy to vote?
I don't know. What would that be?
You charge every motherfucker $10,000 to vote. Boom, problem solved. Of course, I'm not actually advocating for that, but I mean, in theory, it would. Right. Number 9.
Would solve some problems.
Yeah, it would. Number 9. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite.
Hippie bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah, I didn't quite gather.
Yeah,
that sounds like a very specific type of religious edict at this point, and that particular type of religious edict, I don't know how much that gels with the Western world. That might make a bit more sense in the Eastern world, but there's a lot of necessary background of wisdom an individual person would have to properly interpret and enact that in practice. So that's a bit too broad of a statement for every dumbass in the world.
Yeah, and it also seems to stand very much against some of the other things. Like, okay, I just read number 9, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. How does that gel with, say, number 2, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity?
Yeah, that when you put it like that, those things seem like a systemic contradiction.
Yeah, so that's basically a nothing. That means nothing. And then finally, number 10, be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature.
I mean, it sounds right. I mean, we shouldn't try to totally fuck the planet if we can help ourselves. But I don't know how much Malthusianism is rooted in what they're saying.
Well, with what they've said so far, I would be willing to wager a hell of a lot.
Yes, yeah. And that's my problem with it.
So
Yep.
this number 10, I read it and I was like, fuck. This is one of those things that Breaker and I could probably argue about for an hour. Be not a cancer on Earth. Leave room for nature. I mean, is mankind itself just nature? In which case, as mankind expands further, nature expands further. Ergo, humanity existing will always leave room for nature. I mean, interesting question.
Fair argument. It's a fair argument.
Unless you go full transhuman like Ghost in the Shell 2 and get into like, there is no reality but the Matrix.
Obviously, they're arguing the rest of nature.
So that was the...
No, that's the problem I have with that. There's this weird Prometheanism in this. Hey, that's the name of the show.
Hey!
There's this
And
type of...
by the way, everyone, remember to like and subscribe.
Perfect segue into the like, share the video, subscribe, post it on your social media. Because if you don't, you'll be given a ticket to the Polar Express. Next stop, Epstein Island.
So...
I get that fucking joke in eventually, but there's like that Promethean idea that humans aren't a part of nature, that they're specially and uniquely endowed by something literally supernatural. Is, if you read between the lines of that, that's what you would have to believe to think that in the first place humans aren't already a part of nature, even if humans turn the entire globe into fucking planet Arrakis and it's just a desert world like fucking Tatooine or some shit. That would still be humans working in concert with nature and just altering their environment through a purely natural course of actions that humans would be doing.
Or...
What that's saying is like, nature is better than you. You are this alien satanic thing endowed with this destructive power uniquely among all other creatures to destroy the fucking world in its quote-unquote natural beauty, and you need to die!
Or alternatively, like in the Star Wars universe, Coruscant, right? Technically, Coruscant would be a planet of nature, even though it's nothing but a gigantic city. The entire planet is a city, but it was constructed by humans, ergo it's nature. Like, you could say that. You could definitely say that. However, I would put forward that if humans are already in a replicator tango, then they're no longer part of nature. If they are already in a replicator tango. And they might be. So, I just want to point that out. But...
Wait a minute. I don't know how that could also be against nature, because that already happened with... Are you saying that DNA isn't a part of nature because it was in a replicator tangle with RNA?
I'm saying that that nature is specific to DNA.
Well, DNA kind of beat up another motherfucker to get that position.
And
so
that was-
this is just kind of an
And that was
argument from supremacy.
and that was RNA nature. But we exist within DNA nature, and I like DNA nature. Fuck RNA nature and fuck Excel spreadsheet phenotypic revolution next nature. I enjoy DNA nature, and I seek to preserve it at all costs.
Well, if you read Be Not a Cancer on the Earth from that lens, that would mean it's like, don't become the frickin' RNA virus to the next phase in the evolution of life and the next replicator tango outcome.
And in that case, maybe we should limit our population to 500 million. All right.
Oh, shit.
So,
You're starting to agree with it more and more.
Fuck!
Yes, yes. Let the globalism flow through you. Join the Third Economic Forum.
all right. So overall, it seems as though we collectively, as a group mind, we disagree with number 1, disagree with number 2, disagree with number 3. We're okay with number 4. We're okay with number 5. We disagree with number 6. We agree strongly with number 7. We agree with number 8. We don't know what the fuck number 9 is saying. And we're unsure about number 10. So basically, it's a mixed bag of what this Guidestone was saying. It was mostly retarded, but I don't think that anything that it was saying was explicitly, like, directly evil. I don't think that it's like a New World Order sort of like demonic spirit cooking, sort of like Hillary Clinton sacrificing a child to Cthulhu kind of thing.
Who did it? Any news on culprits?
Oh, the bombing? No. Also, we don't know who constructed the damn thing in the first place either.
Wait, we don't know who
Well, actually, that
constructed
is
them?
known.
Who?
I was watching a video on that.
Okay, there are ideas about who constructed it, but we don't actually know who built it.
Is it public land?
The guy that made it, okay, the guy that made it did it under a pseudonym, so his real name isn't known. But he eventually ended up donating it to the local municipality. So technically, that monument is a public monument. It is not private property. So.
But it was private before.
It was private. It was made by some quasi-anonymous guy that didn't attach his real name to it.
And then he donated it to the public. I see.
Yes. He
So
donated
it's
it to the public.
rather unknown who made it. Okay.
I'm sure someone in the comments is going to be like, but I'll let the comments shut that out.
Well, and
that
that leads us to the final story, which is the capstone on all of this, because
oh, by the way, one more thing about the Georgia
Okay.
Guidestones. Keep in mind, this was technically supposed to be this was supposed to be like a monument, like post-apocalyptic world if a nuclear holocaust destroyed humanity. But one dipshit in a car with an IED was able to severely damage the thing where it had to be deconstructed by an excavator because it was too dangerous to remain standing because it was inevitably going to collapse. That doesn't sound like something that could withstand a nuclear explosion.
Yeah, turns out that this was a little bit more fragile than anticipated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
anyway,
moving on to the final story of tonight. This has all been it's been a crazy news week. A lot of things have happened. We've had assassinations. We've had prime ministers stepping down. We've had the fate of Twitter coming into question. We've had the national leader, quote unquote, of the United States, being his Alzheimer's self. Crazy news week, but some people have postulated that there might be a reason for all of this crazy news, and it might just be the particle accelerator known as the Large Hadron Collider over at CERN. This is in Europe. It was this week that they decided to do the third run of it.
Bizarre.
Ooh.
Very bizarre that it just so happened to align with all this crazy shit.
It was the it was also the this is the third firing of it, but it was the second firing of it that actually coincided with Trump's election. So I mean,
Oh shit.
maybe it's opening up parallel universes, and some of these parallel universes are the clown universes, and now we find ourselves in one.
Do you mean to say that this might be somewhat analogous to that one creepy horror movie where they were in space? Oh, Event Horizon, that's the name of the movie. And they had this like warp drive spaceship, but as they went through warp space, they were basically opening gateways to hell. Are you saying that the Large Hadron Collider is technically a gateway to hell?
I think it's collectively taking us into hell. Yeah, potentially. No. So in the second run that the LHC did, let's see, the second run was done between 2015 and 2018. That was actually the run that allowed them to discover the Higgs boson. So that was hugely massive in physics. The fact that they discovered it. I'm honestly a little bit dubious that they'll actually discover any new particles with this run, because it's only a bit more powerful than the previous run, and like, okay, yeah, they are exploring higher energies, but it's like, I mean, some of the particles that like might exist are like 100 times, require like 100 times more energy than the last run took, and like with this run, I think I don't know, it's not 100-fold. It's like 1.5-fold or so, or 2-fold or something. So, I'm a little bit dubious that they'll actually discover any new particles. But then again, I'm not a physicist, so what the fuck do I know? But yeah, they're starting it up again, and I guess
how long do they run it for?
I guess about three-ish years. And
they turn it on and they run it for 3 years?
Well, not continuously, but basically
they test with it over a 3-year period.
Yeah, they test with it over a 3-year period, and then they do all these experiments, and then they take a few years off to upgrade it as technology increases. Yeah. And they upgrade it to higher energy levels, and they do some more testing. Of course, it takes months to actually take in all the data and calculate it, and
make something of it.
Right? Yeah. So it's going to be a while before we actually learn anything from this. But they did start it up this week, and it just happened to coincide with a fucking insane news week. So take with that what you will.
By the way, you might want to look this up really quick. I remember seeing this story a number of years ago, and it's just now that you're bringing this up again, this comes to my mind. I think it was the Large Hadron Collider, although I might be wrong. It might have been another atom smasher. But I remember a news story from a number of years ago that shortly after they turned it on, basically what they did was they collided two hydrogen atoms, and they hit so perfectly that they basically made a miniature hydrogen bomb, and it blew out the side of the collider and damaged it severely.
I think I heard of this.
Yeah, I remember it was a number of years ago.
I'm sure it was very expensive to fix.
Yeah, they basically made a fucking thermonuclear chain reaction, but it was just two atoms. But even just two atoms was enough to basically be the equivalent of 100 pounds of C4.
That sounds highly unlikely.
Well, you can look it up if you don't believe me. It was a story a number of years ago. It literally blew out the side of the structure.
I mean, it might be true that the structure got blown out, but I would doubt that it would be the result of two hydrogens smashing together. I mean, on the scale of things, that's actually not that much energy. But I have.
Well, in
I
isolation, you're right. But if it starts a thermonuclear chain reaction with other particles, then you run into a problem.
it's possible. Yeah.
And with
Sure.
that level of energy, with like hydrogen atoms, like uranium, like enriched uranium, is a lot easier to do this with because it's already like on the razor's edge of falling apart, and its critical mass is very low compared to hydrogen, which is relatively stable. You have to do like extra shit to hydrogen to make it go critical. Like extra shit, like putting like millions of joules, megajoules of electricity, and zipping it around at near speeds of light through a massive donut.
Well, that's the tokamak reactor, and it's basically like a tiny particle accelerator that could theoretically achieve fusion. And actually, every year they're getting a little bit closer to achieving a net positive energy result. And you know what? I'll tell you what. If they ever actually achieve that, it's going to be revolutionary for the world.
Yeah, we're going to be on the fast track to Kardashev scale 1 civilization at that point.
Actually, yes. Yeah, 100%.
Jesus, you have anything to say about this?
Honestly, I don't even know what to make of it.
Well,
Jesus is a simple man from ancient Palestine.
That's true. Yeah, he knows only of God. But the thing that you make of this is don't put your head in the way of the electron beam of the Large Hadron Collider.
I remember that guy.
Yeah. There was a guy who put his head into it, and it basically.
Let me look in here. Take a look. What's going on in here?
It basically, it's like a super duper laser, and it instantly just created a hole directly through his brain, and he survived, but he was a changed man after that. As you can imagine, if a hole went, if a laser went directly through your brain.
Well, to be fair, it was a hole the size of a single hydrogen atom, so it wasn't as horrible as you might be trying to make it sound.
I was gonna say. So he's cool. He's good.
Yeah, more or less good. He's been better, but he's all right.
Interesting.
All right.
I mean, I just think it's crazy. This isn't the first time I've heard that when they turn on the LHC, that crazy shit happens. I heard this years back. So to hear this again, that they're turning it on and it's causing, or is either causing or is lined up with these crazy things that are happening in the world, it's fucking weird.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Alex Jones.
The Large Hadron Collider is basically an interdimensional gateway to summon demons, fifth-dimensional demons. I'll just go ahead and say it. Make fun of me all you want on MSNBC, CNN, or wherever, but we are inviting demons into this space to enter people and to control us.
Well,
globalism.
I will say this right now. As a self-identifying frog, stop trying to turn me gay, bro.
Yeah. And hey, for all we know, turning on the Large Hadron Collider could cause what Alex Jones famously talked about on the Joe Rogan podcast after having a few drinks as interdimensional pedophiles.
Those are the worst types of pedophiles,
whatever other crazy shit.
You thought that you were able to keep your children safe from the regular pedophiles, and then fucking A, the universe comes out with interdimensional pedophiles? God damn it.
And they're going to come in. They just want to make sure that you're comfortable. They're just going to come in. They're going to make sure that your baby is comfortable before they bash its head in and harvest the organs and the skin and the blood.
All right. Very good. So, basically, that was the stories of the week. I think that we're going to move on and do a brief after show after this. But this was the main show. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you got up to this point, and if you did get up to this point, it really does us a favor to like and subscribe. Specifically, subscribe. We appreciate the individuals who are listening to this, and if you leave a comment, we most likely will respond to it. Thank you for listening, Breaker.
Okay, here's the deal. If you don't like and subscribe to the Promethean Tides podcast, I'm gonna come to your house and I'll eat your ass. You think I want to do it? You think I want to haul you up by your back legs like a big Christmas hog and then chop you up in little pieces and eat your ass? I'll do it!
Jesus?
Hey, again, like and subscribe, hit the bell notification, and hope to see you again.
And absolutely. Thanks for listening. And we don't know how this message will get to you, but remember, wake up. You need to wake up. Bye.